All right, welcome to our podcast. This is the first of, I don't know, whatever. If you guys end up enjoying it, we may do it for a while. But we'll try and get one out every week. We are two horse people just talking about life things. And with random appearances of my dog, which I'm sure will occur along our travels. My name is Red Curtis.
Mango.
That's Mango.
Mango.
And this is Jessica. And we're just going to talk today a little bit about like life and doing what you want and the pressures of what you should do or shouldn't do and stuff like that, I guess, randomly.
Yeah.
So what's your... We kind of started this conversation in the car.
Well, I guess, it came up because I'm just entering a new world right now where I'm kind of crossing between the performance side of things and another world that is, I guess, people that are breaking and training and doing all of that. And I'm finding that there's so many different worlds out there. You've got the Western, the equestrian, the competition, the pony club, the trail riding, the people that, and you go to someone for advice thinking, this person's really knowledgeable and they'll give you some advice and you say, okay, but then you go to somebody else and they'll be like, oh no, that's completely wrong and you have to do it this way and that way and you just don't know which way to turn.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to find a direction for yourself, I think. Like, do I want to be a dressage rider and be all swanky, and do I need the best quality, Pessoa saddle that's $4,000 because my competitors have that? Does that make me competitive?
Yes. Yeah. I found that, just even coming into, as being a coach, I came into it being like, do I actually have to be a bitch to be a coach? And I really suffered from that dilemma, being like, do I have to change who I am to be successful in my career? Do I have to change who I am to be successful with my friends or surround myself with people that I want to be surrounded by? And I really found that the key to that was me just being myself, to surround myself with people that liked me.
I guess with that as well, you just something that came to mind is the whole point about networking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's such a cliquey industry. It's you need to be able to get somewhere. It kind of feels like you need to know the right people or have the right people on your social media or swing a name here and there to get by.
Yeah.
But is that really true to yourself? As a coach?
Yeah.
You could still be the exact same coach and, could still be the exact same coach, but to be able to be I trained with this person and that person and, you've got maybe 20 Olympians on your Facebook page, that's going to help you sell more. So, how do you feel about that?
Fix that.
I think that'll do it. Oh.
I just didn't have the outlet turned on. There we go.
That always helps. Plug it in. Plug it
in. Yeah. I think a tough part for me was coming from Canada, coming into Australia, and being my own person and my own coach, and really struggling. In essence, nobody knew me here. Nobody knew me from a hole in the wall, and I really had to get to know people so that people knew me. And it didn't matter how well I coached or how hard I worked or how many people I coached or anything like that. It really, word of mouth is everything in almost every industry. It's not even just the equine industry. It's all over the place. Word of mouth is so big.
Do you think, what's more important, what do you think our struggle is? Do you think it's word of mouth or, performance? If you go out and win and nobody and nobody's heard of you, and you go and kick everyone's butt, is that going to impress people enough? Because I just kind of feel like if you were to be that person that everybody knows because you're well connected, they'll be like, oh, she lost, it was a bad score, but you know what? She'll kill it next time.
I suffer with that as a big fat loser. I am a big fat loser.
That's not, you have some ribbons.
I have some ribbons there, yeah. But I go out knowing that I won't place, for the most part. Go out knowing that I won't place. And And I think that my performance on a horse doesn't necessarily depict who I am as a coach. Like, people like me as a coach because of the way I coach. Like, I can go to a coaching seminar that's taught to me by, you know, AFL coaches, and I will still be able to take so much from that and be a better coach because I can teach better.
Yeah, well, I don't think you even need to particularly be able to write it to teach it. It's the same as, like, what was it, Dance Moms. I don't know anyone that's listening or watching. There was this program that I was completely addicted to watching. I grew up doing dancing, and I loved it. But this lady is, like, hugely recognized all over the world for her amazing dance students and this dance studio, and she is like this, how do I say it, not a dance physique. She would be over 140 kilos, maybe 150 kilos. Like, she's a large woman.
That's well into your 200 pounds for anybody in Canada listening to this.
Yeah, okay, well, yeah. This is good. See, we're going to be able to do the whole conversion thing. Like, so she's large, and I don't think I've ever seen her move. Like, she's always sitting. But she knows what something is supposed to look like. So therefore, she knows the term, she knows what something is supposed to be. So as long as you can do that, I think
too, as a coach, like, being able to ride the movements is a huge thing for me. Like, if I don't feel comfortable teaching a flying change, if I can't ride a flying change, you know, like that kind of stuff. And I'll always guide my students. If they ask me to teach them something that I'm, like, it's out of my zone, then I send them somewhere else. But I think a big part of it too is the fact that I've watched students and I've said 7 things to change one thing, and I know which one is going to work for who. So if I want someone to sit on their bum rather than sitting on their pelvis, which is something that tons of riders struggle with. We sit on the front of our pubic bone. Me as a rider, I do that a lot. You don't do that. I see it. Like, I see it. I see you.
See, I found the opposite with coaching. Like, I find, like, I have to tell people to sit more forward, like on their pelvic bone, because they're always on their butt. Yeah,
but that's because the students that you end up getting ride more like you, and I get students who ride more like me. And so I'll be saying, okay, turn your tailbone underneath you. Okay, that doesn't work. That person didn't get it.
Yeah.
Okay, sit on your pockets, pretend you have pockets on your jeans. That didn't work. Push your belly button towards your spine, because all of those statements make the same movement. You know, and so the more you coach and the more you understand how to coach a movement, then you're able to be a better coach.
Yeah.
So no, coming back, trying to bring this all the way around, I can lose a lot and still end up in a situation where I can coach, and I can coach well. And I don't think that I think seeing my students out there winning makes me look better as a coach, but I don't think me necessarily out there winning makes me a better coach.
So you don't think, like, people will look at that and be like, so, I mean, I personally, whenever I've looked at a coach, I don't go through their record and be like, okay, how many medals have they won? What were they placing? What scores did they get? I ask for word of mouth. Who is a good coach? Who's going to suit me? And who's going to suit my horse?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a combination thing, too.
And what you're after, personality.
Oh, yeah.
Man, how many coaches out there have we all, like, even teachers, like school teachers like in primary school, high school, you mesh with some, and then you completely clash with others, and sometimes it's not even like that they've said anything wrong. It's the way they're describing something, or, you know, you just don't click and connect, and I really think that's important.
Yeah.
Like, teaching or being a student, vice versa, you need to be able to you need to build a relationship and trust that person.
Yeah. And I find that as a coach, I end up in a situation where I'm at home and I make phone calls to people, or I'm in the car and I'm talking to people, and I know that my students view me as a friend. And I absolutely view them as a friend. I think my boundary between business and personal just doesn't exist anymore. You know, like I would go to a client's birthday party and be totally fine with that, you know? Like, I don't have a line. And that makes it quite difficult for me because I end up in a situation where I never stop working.
I have been in situations though where it's become difficult in the middle range of students, that because I have become quite close friendship wise with them, then they become blurred lines. So you try teaching and they start the respect kind of drops, and you get the answering back, and you get the, well, why should I if you weren't, and those kinds of things. I'm like, hang on. So you gotta kind of roll it back a little bit and be like, okay, this is where I'm the instructor and this is where I'm your friend.
Yeah. I use that to my advantage. When they start trying to give stuff back to me, I was like, well, you know what? I rode without stirrups today. So, do you want to go that far? Do you want to play that game with me?
Like I did it. Well, you get on and do it. Well, it's not my pony.
It's not my pony, but I still will get on and ride if I think it's going to be advantageous for the pony.
Yeah.
But coming back down to like, okay, do you change who you are to benefit your job? I think for a lot of business people, that can be a really difficult thing too. Like, imagine if you and I worked in finance or something.
Done that.
Yeah. and then we had to go and network, and I really found, when I was a business professional, I found every time that I went out, firstly, I would get way too drunk for my own good. And secondly, I would have to be somebody I wasn't. And I found that living in somebody else's skin was almost a release, in the sense that I could come home and just shut that off completely.
I never found... Yeah, I could always sell something, but I didn't feel like I was somebody else.
Right.
I never found... Yeah, I've always been able to stick pretty much true to myself. It's kind of like, well, this is kind of who I am, what I am. I'm pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But I'm also quite... I know who to be polite to. I'm quite polite at the start.
Yeah.
At the start. Until I start knowing how many boundaries I can cross.
I think that I just go like, no, I'm a different person. Like, I just go, this is what I need to be. Or I was told one day by someone, you know what people want to eat and you feed it to them. And that's exactly what I do. Like, I know exactly what that person wants to eat and I feed it to them. And it just makes me someone who, to get even deeper into this one, I did it in a lot of relationships. Like, I lived in some relationships where I was someone completely different.
Absolutely. I'm 30 now. Let's just put it out
Me
there.
too!
She is too, but I turned 31st. And let's just say I had like a midlife, well, we'll call it like a semi-midlife crisis. And I was like, oh my god, I'm 30. And I don't know who I am. Like, if someone says, like, who are you? What do you like? What style? I have no idea, because I've literally just molded into whatever I could. When I was younger, I struggled with bullying and I was very overweight and all of that, and so I found that the only way that I could make friends, I mean, you can't really say that they're friends if they don't accept you for whoever you are, but I was fitting into or changing myself and the way I acted and dressed and whatever to fit in with whatever I needed to be. And that then followed into relationships that actually became really harmful. And I think now, even just in the past 2 years, I've just been able to be like, okay, well, this is me now.
Yeah.
And I don't really mind having a few close friends. And I guess that's why I don't have hundreds of friends.
Yeah.
Because it's like, take me as I am. But I wanted to run back down to how we started
We're going back to this childhood thing in a minute, but yeah, okay. I'm going to keep that one over here.
We were saying about, like, who you are. Whenever I start teaching someone new, the first question, and I sit the adults aside. Like if it's a young person, I sit the adult. I don't want the adults around to answer this question, and if it's an adult, then obviously it's up to the adult. But the first thing I ask them, whether it's over the phone or whether it's at a lesson, is I'm like, okay, what would you like to do?
Yeah, like where do you want to go with this?
Where do you want to go? Because if you just want to learn the basics and go trail riding and have fun, I'm not going to be teaching you how to like correctly, work this horse into this amazing dressage horse when you are just going to be bored riding around in circles and really hating everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
I'll teach you to what you want to do, and that might change. You know, we might be halfway through the process and you're like, you know what, I want to try jumping. Then we try it and you fall in love with it, and let's roll with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think we need to put ourselves in a box and say, okay, well, I'm a dressage rider now, so I need to live this lifestyle.
Yeah. And a lot of people get sucked into that. A lot of people spend money becoming something that they think they want to be, and then think, oh shit, I've spent too much money.
I'm then out.
I'm here. Like, this is what I have to do.
I'm then out, and I have no idea what to do. Red, tell me what to do.
What do you want to do?
Well, my issue, right? Okay, so I've now got an opportunity where I've got my own young horse that I bought. Well, I purchased her because she had really good lines for dressage, and I thought that's what I wanted to do. So I purchased her young, and I was like, okay, I'll wait, and I'll put her in foal and all of that. So then, in the meantime, I'll train up for dressage. But I've also had all these opportunities come to me where I've been able to take on some horses and train them up. So now I've got all these horses coming at me. I've got one that started jumping, and I'm falling in love with jumping again. And I've got, you know, a nice stallion that potentially could do some dressage, but he needs a lot of work because he's a nightmare.
Yeah.
But I'm in this mind frame that the only way possible I could go out in public is if I'm in this, you know, maybe like an equipped saddle that's $8,000 and $3,000 Italian boots and, you know, my fancy dress. You know, I feel like I can't go out unless, you know,
I'm come out with me, because you will always look like you have the better stuff. Because I go out and I have a cheap saddle and cheap jods.
In your like fancy little.
But it's all cheap. My stock tie cost me $15.
What's a stock tie?
Just the little like thing that looks fancy underneath my jacket.
Yeah,
it's just like
that's a
my
tie.
jacket. My jacket cost me not even $100, and it cooks me like a sauna. It doesn't breathe at all. I need a new one. You can have my jacket. And, you know, my helmet was $50. I don't have a $500 Kep helmet.
That's the other thing. I went to look at helmets. They're $999.
Don't worry. I have a $55 helmet, girl. And my saddle was, I think, $700. My, you know.
Okay. Put it in, okay.
And you look at me as a picture because I try my best to keep my stuff clean, you know, and my $75 jods, you know, whatever. And I go out and I compete with the big boys and I lose. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to, like, win or lose, or because you can describe yourself. It's alright, you can just leave her. She's just barking. My husband's trying to steal the dog away.
He did it very silently.
Yeah, he was silent about it.
Snapped.
And it's not about the gear. It's not. It's never about the gear, because when you tie your horse up to the foot, nobody comes over and goes, excuse me.
No one comes to your face. No one comes to your face.
Yeah, but
everyone's down in the background.
If you kill everybody with kindness, like I had a lady came up to me. She was walking past me, and I knew she was in my class because she rode in the same warm-up ring and blah, blah, blah. I didn't watch her ride or anything like that. And as she walked past me, leading her horse, I said, "How did you go?" And she goes, "Oh, you know, this is our first EA dressage and blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "Awesome, good on you." And like, "Did you have fun?" That's always my first question. Did you have fun? I don't care how you placed. Did you have fun? And you know, she was just really surprised. that somebody stopped and said, like, how are you? Because nobody cares about other people. They only care about themselves. They care about how their float looks. They care about how their saddle looks. They don't give a about you.
I know.
Unless you
how bad
Unless
is that
you
that I have now become part of that. Like, I saw a float online the other day and I was like, ooh, I'd love to rock up in one of those. But who cares if I rock up and I lose or I get bucked off?
Yeah.
Everyone's still going to laugh at me.
Yeah. Well, nobody laughs. Because Sam...
To your face.
Nobody laughs to your face. Yeah, so I think, at the end of the day, for me, I don't really care. I don't care what equipment I have. I don't care, I just want to go out there and have a good time. And challenge myself.
So why do you think the prestige is there?
Because
if
it's
it
awesome
doesn't matter... If it doesn't
We're
matter...
not talking about the saddle. We're talking about the
No.
That's great.
Not the prestige saddle, no. Why do you think it's there?
Because
if all the good, like, I watch the riders, and no joke, the people with the nice clothes are really good riders. So
because
then I'm like,
they
well,
get sponsored. So the sponsors,
which means they're a good rider to be sponsored.
Yes, but then the sponsors use that to sell their product.
Yeah.
So that's
means
why they have
better riders. So doesn't that match?
No. You can be a good
tack, good rider.
Bad tack,
bad rider.
You can afford good tack and still be a crap rider.
Yes, I've seen those too.
Yes, so that is why. When you're a great rider and you've demonstrated being a great rider, then people will sponsor you and you'll get good stuff.
Okay, mission to sponsor.
If you'd like to sponsor our podcast.
Chapter 2.
Okay, now I'm going to digress all the way back.
Oh, we're going back to, like, childhood.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get deep.
We're going to go back to, like, the way relationships and being a different person, and I think that too relates to the fact that you have nice gear or nice stuff and you try and show that you're one person when you may not be that person. Like, I know I'm that broke girl. Like, I'm not bothered by the fact that I'm a broke girl, and I have always been a broke girl, and I'm not necessarily that broke anymore, but I still don't want to spend my money like it ain't no thing. But when I was growing up, I found that I had no idea who I was. And I drank too much.
I was whoever somebody else needed me to be in that moment.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
And I had no idea who I was. So then I was getting in relationships and being whatever I thought they needed, or sometimes manipulating them. And I've had to go back and apologize to some of those people. Like, that I haven't spoken to in 10 years and been like, hey, when I was 20 and I dated you, I was a dick. And I feel really bad for being a dick and not knowing who I was and drinking too much and making bad decisions and treating you like less of a person than you should have been treated. Because I just didn't know how to get anywhere. And I wasn't comfortable with who I was, and I didn't know.
I've kind of gone the opposite way in the sense that when I grew up, I was so submissive to what everybody needed me to be and wanted me to be. I had everybody else coming and apologizing to me my whole life.
Yeah.
But then when I hit that time where I was like, no, I need to define myself and who I am and what I want, I kind of went the opposite extreme, and that is when I met someone that was amazing to me, but I treated them badly because I was so determined to not get into the same situation, not be manipulated, not be, I wanted to be boss, and I think that has blown into so many other facets of my life, whether that be like fashion. It's like, I have to be the best dressed in the club. Like, I have to be that girl in the club that every guy wants, because that's my insecurity. I never had that before. I've always wanted it, and now I need it.
That is wild to me.
Yeah.
Because, like, I did that. I was, like, all from, I don't know, probably 17 to 25. I went out with girlfriends of mine that I loved so much. And I just knew that a little part of them hated me because every guy wanted to talk to me.
Yeah, I was opposite.
Every guy wanted to come and talk to me. Every guy wanted to dance with me because I was out there and I was crazy and I was wild and I danced way too wildly. And and I was up for anything, anytime. Yeah. And I got myself in way too much trouble. And like now, today is October 8th. I'll be sober for 2 years. And I would never go back to that. I would never.
So now I want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
I've had those conversations with you. I'm like, will you do this with me? And you're like, sorry, I can't. Been there, done that, ever again. So I'm like, everybody else has gone through those experiences, and now I feel like I've missed out on that chance. And if we round it back to the horse thing, it's kind of like, well, I never had the nice horses. Every horse I had to work my ass off and work through everything. I never had the nice gear. I never got taken to competitions. So now it's like, I want all of that so badly. I want the nice stuff. I don't even care if I take my horse off the float, sit on it, and put it back in the float. I want everyone at that competition to look at me, and I just kind of feel, and this is my own insecurity, I feel like people will look at me, judge me straight away from what I look like.
Yeah.
And that is it.
Well, I mean, every time I walk into an arena, or like trot into an arena, I know that judge judges me right off the bat as I come in. But I try my best to make sure my clothes are clean. I always have a smile on my face. Every
Does that matter?
Yes.
So if you have a mark on your juddies, will you be marked down?
I think a judge would see it as like you're not, But it would have to, like, I don't think they'd mark you down, but they would judge you the same amount as if you came in and didn't smile.
Whoa, smiling's a thing.
Every single one of my dressage photos,
I saw your big smile. I didn't know smile's a big thing though. Do they?
You present to the judge. No, you don't say not smiling, but you should smile to the judge. Okay, guys, you guys can make a comment about this. Also, I'm going to try and put this on Anchor. Anchor allows them to make voice recordings to reply to us.
Oh,
we can put them into the next. So if you use Anchor, Anchor's a really great app. You can use it for podcasts, and
any comments or questions, please ask. We will be get into it. Like, we're an open book, right?
Always open book.
Nothing is off limits. Nothing.
Always. But yeah, like smiling and I teach it to my kids. You come in on your pony club 5A test. You don't even canter yet. You come in on that center line with a smile on your face.
See, half the time I had probably cried about 4 times before I even got on my horse. So, like, I'd probably be smiling through the tears.
Just like ugly smile. But I mean, I get so anxious that I come in on my center line, I stop at X, and I salute to the judge. I'm smiling, and my mouth is so dry that my lips are stuck there. And then the rest of my test, I'm just going along like, oh my god, my mouth is stuck. And it's worse in the summer, but that is a thing. Presentation to the judge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I always smile. Always smile.
Do you get a smile back?
I don't know. They're in a car half the time.
You can still tell.
I don't know. But when I roll up, it's tough too because I'm a short person on a tall pony. Or short.
No,
short person.
It's not a tall pony.
Well, short pony, short person and short pony. But because we're the same height, like comparison wise, people think that I'm on a horse.
Yeah,
and then they judge me like I'm on a horse, and I'm like, I'm not on a horse.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating. Know that I'm on a pony.
It's so hard too because I remember you made a comment the other day that someone had mentioned about rushing, and you didn't feel that it was rushed. And I guess people's eyesight, I mean, if you're only competing in like pony dressage, then their eyes are going to be readjusted. But if they've just finished watching like 17 warm bloods with big flowing movement, and then this little, how tall's your pony? 13
2.
13 pony comes in and he's like, oh yeah, I'm sexy, but like, you know, these little fancy little trots with the high knee action, like,
it's a lot. He just goes real fast. and then the judge says, like, use more half halts. And then another judge says, used her hands too much. And I'm like, my half halts were through my seat, firstly. Secondly, I'm trying. He is very strong.
Do they still have the Good Girl for Trying award? It's like a white ribbon.
No, they don't.
When I was in dancing, you got like a white ribbon. I think it was called a recommendation.
Oh, cute.
I think that's what they called it. And it was like the medal you got when you didn't place, but they wanted to make you feel good. So you got like a Good Girl for Trying.
Wow. Well, I mean, did I tell you that one of my dressage tests recently, last weekend or the weekend before, the fellow said on the dressage test, rider needs to learn the training scale, and then proceeded to write the training scale. Rhythm, looseness.
So he was really paying attention to your test?
No, he was just judging the fact that he thought that I was too handsy.
No, but I mean, to be able to write all of that, he obviously wanted...
No, it's at the end, in the comment section.
Okay, right.
Yeah, so he wrote it at the end, and it, you know, the whole training scale, all 6. Right? Rhythm, looseness, connection, impulsion, straightness, collection. Right there. Right underneath each other. And I was like, sir, I'm a coach. I know the training scale. I also use it. But this pony is very fast. Like, I can't always focus on my rhythm. Sometimes he gets a little out of rhythm, and then he says to me, oh, use your hands too much or use your seat too much. And I'm like, he's just very fast. What do you want, Maggie?
Saying hello, she wants screen time.
She does. She wants to be with us. Yeah, so I think I'm excited to go to HRCAV with you and see how I do.
So, that is the next chapter. So, basically, I started riding when I was in my teens, like first time riding ever. And then I rode throughout high school and then found a boyfriend and who told me that I needed to like sell all my horses after I'd gone to uni and done veterinary science and all of that stuff. So then I sold all my horses because I was stupid and, you know, as we do, I was fitting into that mold that we all spoke about. So I fitted into that mold and actually converted to Islam, and that's a whole nother story.
Wow.
So that's
a thing.
That's like that. If that's
Are
not
you
fitting
still
into
there?
it, no.
Okay, cool.
I'm now Christian. Another mold.
Okay.
But yeah.
Oh yeah.
See?
What about that? Can continue.
So, that's just an example of fitting into molds. Anyway, so sold the best horse I've ever owned in my life. And I sold 6 horses and got out of it for about 10 years. And I became extremely obese during that time and then lost a whole bunch of weight. And then once I'd lost weight, had another sit in the saddle and started riding again. So I've probably only been riding for about 2 years now. And then I was like, I thought everything was done. Like, there is no way known that someone my age could possibly get back into riding and actually do competition. I thought it was all over.
I feel like that's a topic for another time as well. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I came back into riding. I went to driving and then came back into riding only 4 years ago now. And really, you know, I thought my career was over when I hurt myself, and I was like, well, I'm done. You know, I'll just drive for the rest of my life. But yeah,
we'll save that.
We'll save that.
Pin it. We need to write that down because that's a really important topic, I think.
Yeah, coming back into riding as you're older and thinking that you're not young enough to do it.
Or even younger. I had one of my clients is like giving up because she's had a bad horse and she doesn't have very much support, and so she just kind of feels like giving up and getting out of horses altogether. So I think we have periods of time in our lives where things come up and it kind of drops back, but that passion is there, you know, so we pick it back up again.
Yeah.
I totally forgot where I was going with that story, but
yeah, well, I mean, So you were at Islam somewhere. I think we got it. So you
sold some horses, came back.
Yes.
Started riding.
Yes.
Now I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, HRCV.
Yes, HRCV.
Right.
There we are.
So I'm like, okay, so now that I'm like back, I was told by a coach that I really respect, who's also a relative. I was told, you know what, it's not too late. They've taught plenty of people. Some people even take up riding at like 40 or 50, and they're able to make Grand Prix in like 3 years. It just depends how passionate you are, natural ability sometimes, and consistency and how much you want it. Like you got to work hard and make it work, and it is possible. So that gave me the inspiration and said, okay, maybe it's not too late. So next month, I will be joining HRCAV.
Yes.
And the reason is because I want to take some young horses that I'm working with to get them some exposure, and also because I want to compete with or against this one. I'm highly competitive.
I think that it'll be fun. I think you're going to have a lot of horses that are going to give you the ability to beat me. Don't worry. Because I'm on a pony. Don't forget, I'm on a pony. All right.
Okay, I got a manky thoroughbred that looks like she's been eaten alive by zombies. And or is a zombie, either way. I'm not quite sure. And a stallion that can't turn right.
Okay, well, okay. Let's go with and also you have to be graded still. But we're gonna go and do a couple of HRCAV comps. And so just to explain to you guys the levels, I know some of you will probably be Canadian listening to this, and some of you will be Australian, and this will just be a recap for you. But
also, why HRCAV and not EA, which is the official high competition stuff, which I'd really love to do, but we'll explain.
We're getting there. Okay, so Pony Club is called PCAV, and that's what we'll call it here. And then HRCAV is like Adult Pony Club, and then EA is the big boys. So that's internationally recognized stuff. So what I compete in currently is EA, so I compete against a lot of warm bloods and things like that. I haven't been competing HRCAV just because it hasn't fit into my schedule, and none of my friends go, so it's not super fun for me to just go by myself. Well, Tim comes with me, he's lovely, but it's not always fun for me to just go by myself. And then I think there's also showing is one thing. It's like in Canada we call it hunter jumpers or hunters or anything like that. But it's not necessarily hunters. They have hunters and hacks here. It's very convoluted, but that's called showing. Then dressage is what we mostly do. And then combined training Jessica's getting into, which is show jumping and dressage, or you can just do show jumping, which is self-explanatory.
And the whole combined training thing is so that I don't have to do eventing, which also includes the cross country, which is super scary because none of the jumps move, they're all solid, and that's where people die.
Yes. So I only do dressage. I also specialize in ponies. So I do pony dressage, and I specialize in ponies for sale and also with clients and things like that. But we are going to compete some more in HRCAV. I would expect my scores to be around the 65% mark in HRCAV grade 3.
I'm aiming to get graded grade 3 so that then we will be on the same
time.
Yes, that, and just the same general, like if we have tests that we have to learn and all of that kind of thing, it'd be good to be at the same level. And then EA horse is a lot prettier than. Yeah,
I don't know. EA, I compete novice, which is a little more than HRCAV 3. It's like HRCAV 2, whatever.
Or 1.
No, 2. 1 is like
PC, but they don't do anything.
Not PCAV, HRCAV.
Yeah, they still don't. Anyway.
Yeah. Yes. So in EA, I would expect to show up and come out with a 59. So that kind of tells you the difference between the two. The judging is more critical, and I'll be going to a pony-specific event this weekend, and then we can talk a little bit about how that happened for me. It'll be an overnight event, and then that might tell me a little bit more about what scores I should be expecting for pony-specific stuff. Yeah. But, I don't know. I think we covered a lot today.
Yeah, we have. We've gone all around. This is how our conversations go generally. Like, we start off with a topic, and then we kind of end up in Islam and, like, the bar, and then and then we come back around and end up at pony comps.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should wrap it up and see how this one goes. And if you guys have questions, comments, things that you want us to talk about next time, if you want to sponsor our podcast, if you know, just anything, feel free to let us know in the comments. Again, if you use Anchor, you can leave voice comments. We can actually insert them into our podcast. If you watch this on YouTube, just put it in the comment section down below. If you're taking a look at this in any other, just, you know, you can love us. Just love us. We need love. That's why we're here.
And attention, obviously.
And attention.
Attention, love, like, I would really like some decent questions because I love questions.
Me too.
Give me a question and I'll answer it. Anything. I promise. Cross my heart.
Did I ever tell you about what I say to people when they say, "Hey, Red, I have a question"?
No.
I have an answer. All right, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in a week.
Bye.
Bye.